Let us continue. So we have seen 5 takeaways. Let's discuss the 6th one now. Where awareness goes, energy flows. This sort of like a mantra, he repeats it multiple times in the book. And this is a very, very powerful concept. So the author says emotion expresses as energy. I read somewhere that emotion is nothing but energy in motion. So when we feel emotional, there is a lot of energy that is involved within that emotion. So wherever our awareness goes, it goes and deposits certain energy. And this energy is highly magnetic. Magnetic in the sense we tend to go to that particular path more easily. Where if you think of mind as a map and your awareness goes to one particular spot repeatedly, then that particular place is energized. So the next time it will become more easy for your awareness to go to that energized spot. So these emotional experiences, whenever we go through, these become magnetic forces. We might have seen how um, some of us might feel a sense of victimhood. Anything and everything that happens, we feel that, oh, it's only happening to me. Why me? We get into that state of mind very easily because we have trained our awareness to move into this victimhood state of mind over a period of time. And as a result, whenever any situation, any challenge comes, we tend to easily go to this state. So this is the point about energy and awareness. This connection is very important. So to understand awareness, he gives again many interesting examples. So one, he talks about how a trained dog behaves. So when you take your dog to a park and the dog is well trained, it would listen to you. It would follow your instructions. It would not just go away wherever it feels like. And when our pet dog behaves obediently, listens to us, then it gives us a lot of peace. We can take the dog, we can take the dog to any public space, and we don't have to worry unnecessarily. But if it is an untrained dog, firstly, the dog will be more scared and it would start to run around indiscriminately. And we will be chasing behind the dog. We will exhaust our energy. We will waste our precious time. So, just like how we train a dog, we need to train our awareness to be in our control, not let it run around wherever um, we want it to, wherever it is being taken, it is being pulled away. Another example that he gives is we can imagine the mind to be a garden. So in your garden, you have so many trees and plants. You decide that in a particular area of the garden, you water regularly. Whereas another side of the garden, you don't water that, you don't water regularly. So what happens is that wherever you have watered, you have invested um, energy into it. And so plants grow very beautifully. So the more the energy is invested, the stronger that particular area of the mind becomes. So where we consistently invest our energy, if we are consistently investing our energy in being distracted or in letting our awareness being taken for a ride, then that is what we become good at. And that is why that particular energy that particular area of the mind becomes more energetic. So, and this is a vicious cycle. We keep depositing more energy, it becomes more and more magnetic, and we are inevitably drawn to that particular area of the mind. One last example to understand this is awareness is like a traveler, a trekker, an explorer. The mind is like the jungle. And let's say that there is an unexplored jungle and there is no path to a waterfall. The traveler comes, he first clears some of the plants, he makes a pathway to the waterfall. He spends time in the waterfall and then he comes back to the same path. And now he goes and announces that, hey, there is a beautiful waterfall in this jungle. Then many groups of trekkers, they take this path to the waterfall. So now this path that he has cleared, it is now well laid out. Many people are going. The path is becoming more and more clearer, easier to reach the waterfall. Now the tourism department realizes there is a potential here because of this waterfall. So now they start to lay concrete roads so that more cars and vehicles can come in. So people are now, they're able to reach this waterfall more easily, more comfortably. Similarly, in our mind, which is like a jungle, we are the explorers. Now we have created a path. Frequently, if we keep visiting, this creates a groove. The author calls it as a mental rut. And this is something that we can easily relate to. So either it could be us or we might have seen somebody around where a person can be very quickly, he can get angry because this person has paved a highway, has paved a well laid out path to the angry area of the mind. So anything and everything triggers this person and he's able to reach this angry state of mind very easily because the path is so clear. So we might have seen people who get irritated, frustrated for like small little things because they have paved this pathway so clearly. So the default destination for our awareness is where energy is constantly deposited into and where this path is well paved. That becomes the default destination. The author briefly highlights that these pathways may not have been created only in this lifetime. So when we talk about samskaras, vasanas, in our scriptures, this is what is mentioned where these pathways, how our inherent nature is built over multiple lifetimes. These are the pathways that the author is connecting to, though very briefly. So this is what is explained here as well. So a single path, and then it becomes through repetition, this groove is deepened, and then it becomes like a well laid out highway. And this makes the destination effortless. So law of practice, whatever we practice, we inevitably become good at. This is something that we need to keep repeating and reminding ourselves. The author then talks about two states of awareness. One is, this is slightly tricky to understand. If now you are in this session, you are listening, is your awareness aware of what it is listening to? Awareness being aware of itself. That is the first state. The second is awareness can get absorbed. It can be involved in what it is doing. So when whatever be the activity that you're doing, sometimes you might be reading a book and you might be totally involved, you might be totally absorbed. It has happened to us when we watch a movie or a very interesting series. So in that case, we are totally into this zone, right? So when we are absorbed in something, we cannot observe. So that is why many times when we might tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to just sit and scroll through my phone for 5 minutes. But then later, when we realize, it is like, oh my God, it is half an hour. Because we are totally absorbed, we are not able to separate our awareness. We are not able to observe what we are doing. So this is a distinction that we need to remember. So whenever we are absorbed in something, we cannot observe. So where we choose to get absorbed, this is something that we need to be mindful about. Two forces that control our awareness. One is our own internal mastery, and second is our environment. So if we let the environment decide where our awareness should go, then we will be taken for a ride. And what happens is that our finite time and finite energy that gets dissipated, because of which we are not able to pursue our goals. We end up getting frustrated. Though we know that all of us have only 24 hours in a day, but sometimes we wonder, where did this time go? So this breeds frustration, this breeds disappointment, discouragement. And so we sort of just go with the flow. Okay, this is how I am. I am not going to change. So we need to decide who is in control of our awareness. So we spoke about untrained and trained dog. So similarly, untrained awareness and mastered awareness. This is just a summary slide where we can compare how we are untrained, what is the consequence, and if we have mastered our awareness, what is the consequence. So when we have mastered our awareness, the awareness is controlled by us. We are able to observe what we are engaged in. Our energy is flowing with a purpose. And as a result, the outcome that we experience is freedom, peace, and control over our personality, control over our what we manifest in our life. The seventh takeaway is, when we talk about awareness, the author says our awareness has two wings. One is concentration and one is willpower. So concentration, the best thing about this book is that he defines each of these terms very clearly. When we say concentration, willpower, we might assume, okay, I know what is concentration, I know what is willpower, but he defines it in a certain way. Concentration is our ability to keep our awareness on one thing until we consciously choose to move it somewhere else. So let's say you are playing a board game, you have your piece. You are holding the piece in a particular position. You are holding it with your finger and you are holding it in that place. This is concentration. And now you decide to move to a different place, right? So when we say meditation, again, he brings this difference. So many times we think, okay, let me meditate. I might be able to focus better. He says it is the other way around. Only when we are able to focus, only when we are able to concentrate, we will be able to meditate. So dharana leads to dhyana. The second wing is the willpower. Willpower, he defines as a mental muscle. So we need to work this muscle. This mental muscle, which we use to channel our energies towards one point, and it is the force. Whenever awareness shifts, we gently bring it back from wherever it has drifted. So let's say that you are in that board game, your coin is here, and somebody decides, okay, I'm going to move this somewhere else. So now you are aware that this has happened. My coin has been moved elsewhere. So I am going to bring it back. So this is called as willpower. Willpower, sometimes it can also appear as stubbornness. The author says when we have a single minded focus and this is not backed by reason, then it becomes stubbornness. We have seen that with our kids, young kids who are like, they want something desperately, they will cry, they will throw tantrums because that is devoid of reason. But they are single mindedly focused on what they want. So the two wings of awareness are concentration and willpower, and we need to develop both these wings. Next, he talks about distraction. So here, the finite time and finite energy, distraction robs both. When we, without our conscious approval, somebody takes our awareness and drags it everywhere. The energy is dispersed because we are not able to focus on anything, our energy gets dissipated. And as a result, because we are distracted, it steals precious connections. Our mind is not, we are not able to give our complete attention. And this affects relationships. And another important point he brings out is distraction is too high a cost to bear, especially for people with purpose. If you have a goal, if you have, say, a project deadline and you are like distracted, then it is too high a cost to bear, isn't it? You are not able to get to that deadline. You're not able to finish your work on time. And in today's times, being distracted has become like an accepted norm. Earlier, I remember in the late 2000s when iPhone had just become popular. At that time, in a meeting, I was in a meeting, and one of the members in the meeting room, he was like checking his phone, he was doing something, and I was presenting something. And I could see that he was not listening. And then after he finished, then he said, "Oh, okay, okay, I didn't catch this point. Can you repeat this?" So it robs of time, it robs of relationship. Now, when I realize that I am not getting the attention, then I feel, why am I presenting this now? Right? So we have seen, and today this has become more common. When you step into any meeting room, people are distracted. They are either using their phone or laptop. Somebody will be presenting, very few people will be focusing or asking relevant questions. Sometimes the presenter has to repeat again and again. So distraction robs time, energy, connections. The author then briefly talks about technology use, and he says technology has the immense potential to distract, and it is intentionally designed to keep us engaged. We discuss this in detail in the book Stolen Focus. So if you have not read that book, it is amazing. I have put the book summary videos on my YouTube channel. You can check it out if you're interested. So here the author says the real issue is not that the technology is bad or devices are bad. He doesn't take that anti-technology stance. He says it is our inability to exercise discipline around the use of these gadgets. So when we repeatedly pick up the phone, the moment of boredom, a single tiny moment of boredom we get, we immediately pick up the phone. We are paving that path. We are creating that groove. So whenever we are bored, we pick up the phone. That becomes a default habit. So technology distracts only if we allow it. So he has given a very brief practice, a 5-step practice of how we can manage our technology use. Again, this is very basic. I felt Stolen Focus had a lot more coverage of this. The first point is abstinence. Do not unnecessarily engage with your phone. Consciously refrain from using your phone. Second is have a purpose. Before you pick up your phone, you decide in your mind why you want to pick up. Okay, I want to check WhatsApp. I want to check if there are any messages from so and so people. Third is focus. Okay, now I have decided I'm going to use WhatsApp. So I only use WhatsApp, check the messages and put it back. Not jump from one app to another. So here he calls it as a digital monkey, where we are just going at one app after another. The fourth is time. This is something that we might have tried, where we put a strict duration. We enforce it using our willpower. Fifth and most importantly is we curate our content, we curate our feed. If we find that certain content pieces are triggering, certain creators' content are triggering, then we consciously stay away from such content. So, how we can decide whether we want to be uplifted or we want to be destabilized through the content that we are consuming. And again, this takes a lot of practice. We cannot decide that, okay, I have been using my phone for 10 years. In one day, I'm going to start this disconnect from the phone. Not going to happen. So the author gives various practices. He says, being, um, practice concentration when you are doing regular tasks, like when you are eating, when you are doing, say, tasks like cooking, gardening, folding laundry. During these tasks, give your undivided attention. Do not multitask and use this willpower to pull it back. Whenever your awareness shifts, use your willpower to pull back your attention. And do not succumb to instant gratification. So I understand that this is going to take time. Be patient. That eventually that you will have the control over your awareness completely. So take it step by step and slowly. So to improve willpower, the author talks about 3 mandatory steps. First and foremost, finish what you start. So the author says that we start so many projects. We have that initial enthusiasm, but we are not able to take it to completion. We are not able to finish. Every act of completion, it builds our willpower. And if we repeatedly fail to do so, then we are creating those patterns. Okay, I cannot finish it. This is not for me. And we end up sabotaging our goals because of our own internal talk that, okay, I cannot do it. The second step is finish it well beyond expectations. Some of us are more than happy to just finish and get enough. This is all I can do. I cannot do more than that. But he says to build willpower, finish it beyond your expectations. A little more you can do. And show that you care. Show that you have put in a lot of effort. Third step is do a little more than you can. Again, this is like pushing it little more than the limits that you think that is possible for you. So this is where you are exercising your mental muscle. So we do that whenever we practice yoga asanas. We say, okay, I'm going to hold this pose for 10 counts. And then we'll say, okay, 12, maybe 15 I can try. So similarly, we have to work this mental muscle of willpower. This is a very valid point, and the author says giving someone your undivided attention is truly one of the highest forms of love and respect that you can express to them. Especially with children, when we give them our undivided attention, they connect with us better. But when we are distracted, we are like looking at our phone and they are asking something. We are like, okay, I hear you. But we are not giving them proper attention. Children can easily um, realize that they are not getting complete attention. So the author says it is the highest form of love and respect. And this listening, right? This skill of listening is becoming like an endangered quality because it requires intense concentration. You are giving your complete concentration to the person sitting in front of you. And if we fail to listen, it means that because we are distracted, our awareness is being taken. It could be internal motivation or could be due to external sources. Maybe you're watching TV, somebody is talking to you, and your awareness is focused on what is happening on the TV. Or it could be you are ruminating about something. Both these scenarios are possible. And in both these cases, we are not able to give our complete attention. And we understand that time is finite, both our time as well as the listener's time, listener as well as who's talking to us, both the time are finite. If we give our undivided attention, it means that we are caring for the other person. We respect the time of the other person. So this is something that we need to keep in mind. So for strong relationships, giving undivided attention is a must. The author then talks about 4 forces that terrorize many minds. Here he talks about worry, fear, anxiety, and stress. There could be some more depth in each of these topics, I felt when I was reading. This comes in the 4th section. But worry and fear he has covered in a lot more detail. He says that we are in the present moment. Worry and fear takes our awareness into a possible future that we are imagining. There, the mind, where we are like conjuring up a problem or a potential threat, we fabricate it, and then we return back carrying this distress. This is called as worry. This is called as fear. And what we are fabricating for the future through our thoughts will eventually manifest in our actual life because of this constant worry, constant taking our awareness, putting it into the future, fabricating it, and then bringing back. So whatever our life happens first manifests in the mind. So that is why focus is very important. It is like an anchor to the present. So in this context, when we let our awareness be in an uncontrolled state, it will eventually lead to both our physical and mental collapse. So we are like distracted. We are always moving from one task to another. Many things are unfinished. Then we start to let our awareness be guided by external forces. That leads to prolonged worry. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? There are these problems that are conjured up in our mind. And eventually that puts us into a state of anxiety. Prolonged worry leads us to anxiety. And eventually prolonged anxiety will lead us to stress, which is the ultimate breakdown that which the author has talked about. So for all these 4 steps, worry, fear, anxiety, stress, which we go through, if we are able to hold our awareness on the present, on what we want to do, then we will not be able to get into these 4 states of collapse. The final takeaway is the byproducts of concentration. Then we are able to concentrate, when we are able to focus, then 3 things happen. Presence. We are able to be completely present in what we do. This is the effect. Same goes with mindfulness. So we all say practice mindfulness, right? Mindfulness has become such a overused term today. But the author says mindfulness is a consequence of concentration. So when you cultivate concentration, when you practice concentration more, mindfulness eventually happens. Third and most important takeaway for me was observation. So when we are able to be present, when we are able to be mindful, then we are able to observe. We become observant of what is happening around. When we are going for a walk, we notice many things. And it is also observation, not just with the external factors, observation within. We are able to see what are our strengths, what are our pitfalls, what are the grooves that we have created in our minds, where we are able to travel easily. So all this observation is possible only if we are able to concentrate, we are able to hold our awareness. So in short, I am just summarizing these 12 key takeaways. Purpose leads to priorities. Priorities decide our lifestyle. Second, most important, if among these 12 takeaways, if you want me to suggest one, I will say the second one: be conscious of what you impress your subconscious with. The third point is there are three motivations for a focused life: happiness, manifestation of goals, and death, the finitude of life. Fourth, law of practice: whatever we practice, we become eventually good at. And this is applicable to both concentration as well as to distraction. Fifth, this is the perspective shift that we need to bring in more consciously. It is our awareness that is moving, mind is not. The mind is this big, vast space with different focus areas, and our awareness moves in these areas of the mind. And wherever our awareness goes, that is where we deposit energy, and that region becomes highly magnetic. The wings of awareness, concentration, and willpower, we need to develop both of these wings. And the author has given set of practices on how we can improve our concentration. For willpower, he has given those 3 steps. How do we build this muscle of willpower? Finish whatever we start. Do it exceedingly well. Do a little more than what you can. Again, in all these steps, we are building this willpower. We are not giving up easily. Distraction robs both our time and energy. We may not realize it when we are engaged in a distracting activity, but later we feel like, oh, where did this time vanish? The 10th point: let us give our undivided attention. And this is one of the highest forms of expressions of love and respect to people. Uncontrolled awareness: if our awareness is not in our control, it is always being dragged by external forces, then it will eventually lead to physical and mental collapse. Many of the mental health issues that we are seeing today, anxiety, stress, all this, if we trace it back, it's one of the strong reasons is because we are giving access to our awareness to anything and everything around. And mindfulness, being present, and observation, these are the consequences or results of concentration. So if we want to be mindful, if we want to be observant in life, then concentration is something that we need to pursue. So I hope this was helpful. And if some of these points resonated with you, I highly recommend that you pick up this book and do give it a read and reflect on those points, because these 12 key takeaways are what resonated strongly with me. Maybe there could be some other points which might resonate with you. So I'll stop here. Thank you for your time. We will again meet in another session. If there are any comments or questions, we can take now. Yes, started unfollowing influencers, very much needed. So ever since I quit Instagram, it's been 2 years, I've not been using Instagram at all. I find that I'm able to focus a lot more, and I don't have to constantly be on this content creation treadmill where there might be some content that I might have created which has value. But because the algorithm pressurizes content creators, you have to be constantly creating content. Then we start to view life in terms of content. Okay, where can I pick up the next content? And it's just crazy. Earlier, what we do, the algorithms would tune to that and present content accordingly. Now we are dancing to the tunes of algorithm. So, any questions? Has anybody read this book?
Hi, Anuradha, Pavitra here.
Hi, Pavitra.
I just had one thought when you were talking about all these points. When we were talking about the jungle and paving the way, it was kind of very similar to how neurologists talk about how you have to create neural pathways. Something you do over and over again that creates a very strong neural pathway, and it becomes easier. So if you put off things or a specific thing, like filing taxes, maybe it is so irritating for you, keep put off every weekend, you keep putting it off, and then the next year it becomes like, such a big burden in your head. Your brain perceives it as a pain, a physical pain. So you end up putting it off the next year as well. You don't do it immediately. So both good and bad things. So one time you want to miss a yoga session, or your weightlifting class, and the next time, and the time that you force yourself to think that no, I shouldn't miss it today, then that becomes a habit, and then you force yourself to go. So the next time you want to miss it, it becomes a little easier for you not to miss it. So the more that you do something, I mean, they have shown that in our brain new pathways are created between what you think and what happens. So the next time it becomes easier and easier, both in the good sense and the bad sense. So that was the analogy I had when you were talking about the jungle and creating a deeper path and a road and everything.
Yes, yes. Yeah. We can draw parallels to neurology in many of these examples, especially when the neural pathways, again, they say if at all we need to build a habit, we just need to do the first step. So if we are thinking of, oh, I can't do my 1 hour yoga session, maybe you just roll the mat and sit for 5 minutes. That in itself will become a habit. Eventually, then you'll say, okay, maybe I'll do for 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. So eventually, you will start to um, complete your session. So that is why it is through conscious practice we need to cultivate these neural pathways, which pathways we want to make it strong. Okay, everyone, thank you. So we will again meet in another book review session. We do weekly Gita related discussions, Bhagavad Gita discussions on Sunday, same time 7 to 8. Today we didn't do that session. Instead, we did this book summary. So if you are interested, please write to me on my email ID. So I'll just put my email ID here uh, in the chat. Okay. Have a beautiful Sunday. Thank you, everyone.